Greetings. This is Arvette McLean with Speak, The Universe Listens. New ways to view age-old challenges. Change your thoughts, change your life. Step into the bigness of you.
What's going on, guys?
What's going on?
Hey.
So I remember I texted you guys earlier this week, and I was telling you guys about, you know how when you almost at the end of the tunnel, right? You see the light at the end of the tunnel, and you just like, come on, man, let's just hurry up. So I wanted to talk just more about, you know how when you're going through something and you know that it's going to be over with, and you know it's not going to last forever, but it just feels like it is literally dragging, right? Have you guys ever experienced that feeling before?
Yeah, I have completely. I actually always like to remind myself whenever I'm experiencing that, like, man, greatness right on the other side of this like trial. You just got to get right to the other side. And so I always try and remind myself of that whenever I feel like, man, like, I know this is about to be over soon. And sometimes you might even have a clear date of when whatever you're going through is going to be over. But it's like, man, that 21 days is entirely too long from now. And so, like, I relate to that completely. Yeah, and I try and just remind myself, like, all right, like, it's over soon. So, like, just always keep your mindset just a little more positive, because I always like to tell myself, like, as long as you know it's about to end, just relax just a little, because you stressing, it ain't helping it. But man, sometimes the stress just be out of you.
Yeah, it's like, what other choice do you got? You just be mad until it's over? Or you just gonna look forward to that and think about positive thoughts and how you, like, keeping your focus on the things you do want. Because if not, then you're just gonna be upset until it's over.
It's almost like it feel like a tug of war battle almost, because I feel like I have good awareness on how to look at certain situations, but then also too, it's like I'm in the 3D, so I can't help but to look at my 3D circumstances, and when I see it, I'm like, I automatically go to what I'm seeing, and I'm like, God. Like, come on, but also having the understanding, like, hey, something's gonna be great on the other side when everything is over with, having that type of awareness too. So like I said, I go through that at times, I have my awareness with me, but then I also go through that 3D type of stage as to where I'm just literally seeing the physical, but I'm trying to overcome the physical and see what I can't see yet, which is something better on the other side.
Yeah, and I think that that tug of war is always so interesting too, because I always try and, like, lately I try and remind myself, like, don't resist so much, because if I resist so much, I won't appreciate it when I'm out of it, in a sense. Like, if I believe that things happen for me and not to me, then I also know that this is doing something to better me. So as I'm going through this situation, why not just try and find the positives in it as I'm going through it, instead of like, oh man, I just can't wait for this to be over. And then by the time it's over, I'm like, whew, like, instead of feeling accomplished or anything else, or a million other emotions I could feel, all I'm feeling is relieved and then depleted. And I'm like, man, that was also draining, but it was only draining because I chose to make it draining. And so, yeah, that tug of war, I always try and just let go of that rope. You got it.
And I'd be looking at it too as to where it's like, when I'm in that situation, because I had a situation currently that has been like dragging. It's really been dragging. And I've been with my like tug of wars. I have moments as to where it's like I will think of past situations that I've been through and that I overcame, and I would try to remind myself how I felt in those moments and how I felt when I overcame those moments, just to sort of give me like the feeling of and awareness of knowing like you know it's gonna be over eventually. This is just a little hump, a little bump in the road. You got it. And then sometimes I'm stuck in the space of feeling my feelings through, like knowing, okay, this is how you feel it, and embrace it. But also know too that it's, like I said, it's always something on the other side that you just don't know what's on the other side. And I think the not knowing what's on the other side just brings me anxiousness, if that makes sense.
And it's so interesting. I like that you said, I know that there's something on the other side, because I feel oftentimes when I'm going through like that tough period, my mindset is always to say, it's always something. But I just like adding just that. It's always something on the other side.
Right.
Just changes that whole statement in itself for me. So thank you for even just saying that in passing. Because that's super helpful, especially like as I transition in all my different plays now. Like I'm always like, man, like I'm just so ready for this to be over. I'm ready for that to be over. And I spend so much time wanting things to be over that it's like, well, why you ain't appreciating like what's happening right now? Like if you want it to be over, like you don't see nothing good coming from this, like you ain't enjoying none of this. And so I always think about that, like, man, like I try and watch anytime I'm like, yeah, I'm just ready for this to end, or like I'm ready for this chapter to be over, because one, we don't usually know what's in the next chapter. I just usually know that it's usually always better for me. So that's one. And then two, it's always like, I really want to value and learn to appreciate everything that is happening around me as well. And so when I'm sitting in what might be a difficult situation, it's like, well, no, it's not at all. It's giving you this, it's giving you time, it's giving you energy. Now you're not depleted and drained. Now you have a better relationship with all your peers and people around you. You have more time to talk to people and things like that. So I just always try and find like a list of things that are positive from whatever outcome it could be, and say, well, if you're ready for the next thing so much, are you sure you're ready for all of that to have to change as well? And so I kind of keep that in mind too.
I like that. I know I had a friend of mine, he said something, it always stuck with me and I like it. He was saying, you have your W's and sometimes you have your L's. So you have your wins and you have your losses. But instead of saying you have losses, you have lessons. So you never lose, you always win. But in those moments as to where we may say, we'll label it as a difficult situation, a trying situation, a struggling moment. Well, if you look at it like as a lesson, it's something within that, like you were saying, Teron, that we can take away from it, that we probably just overlooking because we are looking at the 3D circumstances that we're going through. You're looking at all of the cons, and there's really no cons in it, but that's how you're seeing it. And you can't see I would say the better part of what you can take out of that situation.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
So if we looking at it like it's gonna be over on this date, and that's like Teron said earlier, let's just say it's 21 days. Are we taking out the possibility of it being over before that?
I think we are. The minute we say, "Oh, it's 21 days," the minute I start a countdown for 21 days is the minute I feel like I start blocking the opportunity for anything better to happen along the way.
Okay. Yeah, I'll say so. I think it's pretty much just placing a limitation on the opportunities that could possibly come your way. Because instead of 21 days, shoot, it could be over in 5.
Stop you from getting over
yeah,
right
it could be over right now. So yeah.
But like if we focusing on it's gonna be over in 21 days, then it's gonna be over in 21 days. And then we ease up.
Excuse me. I feel like I could write a whole book on this because there's so many different things I want to say. I don't know what to say. So for one thing, I would say that when we are creating our reality. So when we're looking at this situation as something's wrong with it, then something's wrong with it. When we're looking at it as something I have to get over, I have to move past, I got to get through it, I got to wait it out, then we got to get over it, we got to get past it, we got to move through it, we got to wait it out. So the opportunity here is to change how you view the situation. Now, I know that that's a challenge a lot of times, because I hear you get stuck in that area a lot. Like you're almost determined that I'm not going to change how I look at it. I want it to be hard and I want to get through it, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think our culture, I know our culture has taught us that. Like, it's hard, we gotta do what we gotta do to get on the other side. And we can change some thoughts, we can, look at some of the positive things, and we can do these things, but basically we gotta get to the other side, we gotta learn these lessons, and also it's that element of, it's not necessarily not knowing what's on the other side, but it's like an element of, I gotta wait and see. I'm gonna see what's gonna unfold from this situation. So I think what I want to start off with saying is, we get to choose how we're viewing the situation. So for me, one thing that I like to do is think about, I love being in human form, which means I have a key awareness that I'm not just human. Mm-hmm. The larger part of me is a spiritual being. That larger part of me is enjoying being in this human experience. So all of the experiences that I'm having as a human, then I want to enjoy it. So I remember my guru saying something to the effect of, how someone was like, well, I'm in pain. And they were like, how do you know that? And I'm just like, what? Because it hurt. I don't even understand the question. How do you know that? And so the guru was processing with the person, and I was just clueless. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. But like stuff like that would stay with me, and I just keep thinking about it. But anyway, they were basically like, how do you know you're in pain? But the point was, like, when they were like, why don't you call it a sensation? And I'm thinking, why would I call it still hurt? Like, just because I give it a different name, like, what? But upon processing it, I'm realizing that as I change how I view it, as I change it from pain to a sensation, that releases the the struggle. It releases something within you. And the more you're like, instead you're like, oh, my back hurt, but you're like, I'm having a sensation in my back, a sensation that I wouldn't be able to have if I wasn't in human form. It starts changing things. So by the same token, like, when we're going through something, we're conceptualizing this as, this is hard, and I got to get through the other side, we can kind of tweak our perception. And it doesn't have to be a huge tweak. It can just simply be, I'm enjoying having this human experience, you know? And then like one thing that became very clear to me when I was going through my almost year-long challenge, where I was just really challenged in the physical. I was just very challenged, and it was hard for me to remember that I was a spiritual being. I was like in the physical, and I was experiencing it full on. But one thing that I'm clear on is every time I would change in the moment how I was feeling, like I decide how I'm feeling, this whole situation would change, and it would change right in front of my eyes. And so, like, rather than experiencing what you're going through as this is hard, and you know, just literally feel what you want to feel. Feel what you want to feel. Feel it right now. As they say, you don't get more of what you want, you get more of who you're being. So in this moment, be who you want to be. Feel that feeling now. And you know, like I shared a couple of times that my thing was I was feeling trapped, and I didn't want to feel trapped. That was like, I just was feeling trapped. And so I'm like, well, let me feel free. And so then I just literally just started thinking about all the ways that I'm free right now.
Right.
And as I felt into that, I mean, literally the whole situation redesigned itself. Everything that I was looking at, it changed when I changed. And so we so often believe that when the situation changes, then blank. But really it's when we change, the situation will change.
And I agree with what you said too. For me, my biggest thing is, you know, I will get stuck in that. Like, I gotta figure out how I'm gonna do this, how I'm going to overcome certain situations. And one of the challenges that I have, somewhat still currently, is that my environment sort of affects the way that I feel at times. And I can have the awareness of knowing I got a choice, and I know I can feel what I want to feel. But my environment is not in alignment with how I'm in the space of peace, and I'm constantly getting, you know, reminders of what I'm moving away from. And it's sort of like, you know, I can have a good day at work, and it could be 2, 3, 4, 5 people going through something, and I overtake, like I soak up their energy, because I'm like a sponge, you know. I take on other people's energy, and it's like, okay, all right. I know I don't want to feel like that. I know I don't want to feel like that, but then that's one of the many struggles of that tug and war battle, because now I have to get back in alignment of having the choice and choosing, like, this is what I want to be, versus regardless of what the outside got going on, it don't have to affect me. So it's like I'm allowing it to affect me. So I'm trying to, you know, get into that space as to where at times I'm like, okay, what can you do to not allow this to affect you? Because you know, I don't even want to say I know. I have awareness, put it like that. I have awareness where I can be, how I can feel. So why is this affecting me?
So I think that's interesting. I used to always, like in the past few years, I used to get frustrated when people would come and I feel like dump all the issues on me. I used to be like, man, like, I got my own life. Like, why you feel like you need to give this to me? And it wasn't until recently I started shifting my thinking on that, and I was like, well, I'm appreciative that everybody feels comfortable enough to even want to share their day with me or share their energy with me now, because I feel like they see me in a light where they're like, all right, I can go over here and when I leave here, I'm going to feel at least a little better. So instead of, what am I trying to say? I feel like now when I walk into situations, I used to take in other people's emotions and energy, and now I know that they're embracing me and like, nah, like we want you around because you make us feel a little better. So like when you come around, let's all pick it up. And so instead of me absorbing, I kind of exfoliate out. And that's kind of been helpful. You know, just send a random message to them in your mind, like that shirt, my man, or yeah, no, you gonna be all right. And like those things they seem to just transition just a little better.
So I do want to add, and I know this is so hard to hear, that what we see on the outside of us is a reflection of what's going on inside of us. So when we see the people that's having a bad day, whatever's going on, and it's affecting us because we're in that space on the inside. Like, we may not be in that exact moment, right? Like in that exact moment, but there's something going on. So it's almost like when you see that, then you know it's something going on with you. Now, it does not mean that, okay, now I gotta figure out what's going on and I gotta fix it or whatever. But you can go, there's something I need, you know, something, just taking a notice of it, like something's going on with me or whatever. And then I would say, use that as your opportunity to be your reminder to feel better now. I feel like in order for me to say that any clearer, I would have to talk for like another hour. But do you guys get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, so feel better now. Like use that not as like, you know, like I say, you don't have to now start something's wrong with me and, you know, I gotta get it right. And no. But whenever you see it, I mean, be like, thank you. Okay, thank y'all. Good, y'all helping me remember that I need to feel better now. Feel better now. And then too, like, one thing I used to always say is that I'm an empath, right? And being that, I can feel what other people are feeling. And so I can walk into a room and I pretty much know what just went down in that room because I can feel it. And I often thought that was a good thing, but also a negative thing because what you were saying, like, you can absorb other people's stuff, then you feeling all depressed,
all out of whack,
you know, all out of
bags.
whack and everything. But then when I remember that I'm the creator, I get to decide, and so I'm not going to absorb anything I don't want. I decided that. I'm not letting your energy affect me. I'm not going to let it affect me in a negative way. Now, if you got some good energy, bring it on. Right? I'm not going to let anything else affect me. It's not going to bring me down. I'm going to bring it up. So it's a decision. Like a lot of, like you say this several times, like I get to choose how I'm going to interact in the world. I get to choose how I'm going to feel. And if I can just feel better now, feel good now, be happy now, be in joy now, just, you know, allow all those things just to be your reminder to do that right now.
Say I needed that.
Oh, 25.
Well, thank you guys for talking with me about this topic, cause I needed that therapy.
Yeah, man, thank you.
Nice reminder. Yeah, so thank you for that topic, because we do often look out into the world and react based on what we see. But to remember, if we can remember, one, that what we're seeing is a reflection of us. Two, that we get to decide. Three, that we can tweak it however we want to tweak it. We can make it mean what we want to make it mean. And just go from there. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. And thank you guys for joining us. And we look forward to chatting with you again next week. Until then, this is Arvat.
And it's Steve.
Teron.
Rodney.
Bye, y'all.